I do want to talk about this cash flow tip because inevitably, right, 9 times out of 10, when someone tells me, hey, I need to boost my sales, I need to make more money, I want to sell more of my services, I want to really explode this year, or I just really need to, I'm in a season of survival and it's a do or die. What the heck do I do? Every single business needs more cash flow, especially this year. So in today's episode, I'm going to share my number one cash flow tip. If there was nothing else that you could focus on marketing wise to grow your business this year, I would say focus on this one thing. We just finished hosting a couple of days ago our yearly funnels bootcamp, and it's such a fun time. We get together with a couple of entrepreneurs, small group setting, and for an entire day live on Zoom, we unpack and re-strategize their sales strategy essentially. So we just go in, map out funnels, help them figure out their positioning, how they're going to, present their hook, what kind of sales page they're going to have, lead magnets, all the things. And it's such an amazing just experience all around. We had so many aha moments from this funnels bootcamp. It's literally our favorite one yet. We've done 4 bootcamps the last 2 years, and they've been absolutely fantastic. And a lot of the conversations that we had were around cash flow. We wanted to host this bootcamp early on in the year because we wanted to ensure that, as many people as possible in our community actually had a mapped out sales funnel, like a clear way of how they're going to sell their products or programs and their services in the new year. And so inevitably, I've been having so many more conversations about cash flow, from DMs to people chatting us on the website to emails to just in our community in the business lounge. And it's no surprise, right? Like, things are a little crazy. There's definitely, I think a lot of businesses are feeling a lot of the burn, and it's part of this cycle, right? It's part of a policy that's, coming straight from the powers that be. And I don't want to get too down into the rabbit hole because you guys are mostly awake and you know what the heck is going on in the world and why it's happening. But I do want to talk about this cash flow tip because inevitably, right, 9 times out of 10, when someone tells me, hey, I need to boost my sales, I need to make more money, I want to sell more of my services, I want to, really explode this year, or I just really need to, I'm in a season of survival and it's a do or die. What the heck do I do? I ask them 2 simple questions every single time. I will respond with this. What is the size of your email list, number 1, especially if you're an online business owner, which 99% of you are. And number 2, do you have an actual sales system? Do you have a way in which you're taking, leads and turning them into customers? And 9 times out of 10, again, the answer to that question is, I don't have an email list, or I know I need to have an email list, but I haven't started growing it, or I kind of have started in my email list growth journey, but I forget to send emails and it's so much work and I really haven't made it a priority. And when I ask about funnels and whether they have a sales system, most of the time, everyone is like, no, I don't have one. I'm like, listen, this is your problem. This is your problem. Listen, okay, here's some really awesome stats. I will link this study below in the description. But a couple years ago, I was reading a study, and actually Chris was the one who found it. And he was like, did you know that the ROI, the return on investment for email marketing, is $44 for every $1 that you invest in the actual activity of sending emails and growing your email list? And I was like, whoa, hold up. What? I know that email marketing is the thing. Let me tell you, we do social media, we do blogging, podcasting, YouTube, ads, all the things. And truly, out of all those things, maybe ads, if we get it super dialed in, might be the exception. But for the most part, we can't ever get that level of return on any other channel. And I feel like sometimes we hear all those things and they don't totally click with us, right? You might just be ready to hit the snooze button on this video or this podcast because you're like, I know these things. I already know this. Nothing new, nothing fancy, nothing shiny, but stick with me here. If you understand the power of cash flow and what it means to your business and how important that is. It's like the number one thing, right? If you don't have money coming in, then you just have an expensive hobby and you probably can't keep your doors open. You can't pay employees, you can't grow, you can reinvest in your business, you can't pay yourself more. All kinds of problems, right? But we got to put our CEO hat on, often and say, okay, how are we going to generate sales out of the things that we are putting out in the world? So out of the reels and all the time and energy that it takes to take like perfectly curated aesthetic photos, and out of the, blogs that we're creating and the beautifully curated, videos with multiple angles and fancy B-roll, how is that going to actually attract more leads and sales into our business? Because if we're just creating content for content's sake, then we don't have a business. Then they're like, there's no point. Because the whole reason we're creating content is to actually lead people to the sale, kind of like a good old Costco sample. That's literally what it's there for. The content is that sample. It's that little taste of what it's like to work with you, to buy your product, to experience one of your programs. And so when we are thinking about our strategy for the new year, I just want to urge and encourage you and challenge you even to make growing your email list a non-negotiable, right? Growing your email list a non-negotiable because it's really that important. So here's another amazing benchmark. Did you know, and I would love to hear from you, like just DM me on Instagram or post it in the comments. Did you know that on average, okay, there's different rules for different industries. I'm not saying that this is going to apply to every single person, but on average, you should be making $1 a month for every subscriber on your email list. Of course, assuming that you're sending emails and that you're actively growing your list. But if we're reverse engineering our goals for the year and we're thinking, okay, like I really want to hit, that next milestone in my business. I want to make $5,000 or I want to make $8,000 a month or 10 or 20 or 30 or $100,000 a month or more. But if that's the case for you, like whatever that might be, maybe it's making your first $500 or your first $1,000 online. If you focus on growing your email list and you are sending emails at least once a week and you're strategic about how you do that, you should be adding at least, the same amount of subscribers, times one. That's what your cash flow should look like. So getting to your first 1,000 email subscribers, if you want to make $1,000 a month, would be an amazing first step. Many, many people, by the way, make $2, $3, $4, $10 per subscriber. And I have seen businesses that we've personally worked with that have like 500 subscribers and they have multiple six-figure businesses because they have quality subscribers, quality leads, people that they build relationships with and they work with. And so listen, if you're listening to this episode, you're probably like, I have heard this a million times, and you probably have, and like, that's true. The problem is that we're so infatuated as online entrepreneurs, as creatives, as leaders with the next hack, the next thing, the next, shortcut, that we don't do the basics right. And unfortunately, the shortcuts are wonderful and we can talk about them, right? I love me a good shortcut, but they're not sustainable. They're not the thing, they're the thing that pushes you forward a little faster, but they're not the thing that helps you actually attract leads and sales, day in and day out, really grow a sustainable business. They're not foundational. And so what happens inevitably is that people find a cool hack or, a cool shortcut, and then they share it with everyone and everyone's excited about doing it. And then they try it for, a couple of months and they can't keep up the pace. And so it works for a little while and then they go back and they're like, I can't keep it up. So back to square one. And so in the meantime, you're losing on crazy momentum that you could be building in your business. And this is how I built my list. It's how I built my business. It's how we've built cash flow. We created a snowball effect and we were strategic about the way that we created content so that it would attract our ideal client. And sometimes I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, we get lost in the weeds in terms of opportunity. There's so many opportunities and like, we want to do this thing and that thing and this other thing. And there's just not enough time in the day. Why don't you instead try doubling down on the thing that has been proven, that's time tested, that every single leader in this specific space of the online business world does extremely well? If you look at the people who are making, 5, 10, 20, 30, $50 million a year in the online space, they're focused on growing their list. They know that owning the relationship with their subscribers and building, incredible value for their people is going to end up being the thing that allows them to create that level of cash flow and that level of revenue. Now, of course, you have to start somewhere. So like if you're just getting started with email marketing, you might be wondering like, okay, I am sold, I am ready to do the thing. How do I get started? How do you actually, build and grow your email list and then build and grow your sales system? And that only starts if you start actually taking your marketing seriously. If you start saying, okay, if I have a limited amount of time and energy and resources, how can I invest that time and energy in the places that are going to give me the highest return? If you don't do anything else the entire year and all you do is grow your email list and really build value with those subscribers of high quality leads, you're going to explode your cash flow. Like it's just going to happen. In fact, I was sharing a email strategy, a very simple email strategy. I'll share it with you guys in a different episode with our boot campers, literally right then and there live. And one of our boot campers just implemented right away. And literally not even a day later, so over the weekend, it was a Friday, over the weekend, she posted on our Voxer channel and she's like, oh my gosh, I tried it and I already got somebody to sign up for my group coaching. And it's like, Yes, because that's the power of email. You could send one email and actually make clients, like make sales, have people buy your product, sign up for your course, purchase the thing that you are, excited about or that's new in your business. I love me some emails for that reason. But let's get into a couple of things I want you to work on as you think about growing your email list this year. Number one, this is a great time to audit your lead magnets. So if you have or want to grow an email list, the way that you get people on your list is through something called a lead magnet. Now, people call it other things, freemiums and freebies, and I love all the names. So the concept is very simple, right? You give people an incentive for them to actually enter their name and email so that you can stay in touch with them. And I know that for some of you guys, a lead magnet is like, okay, like I get it. Like I have lead magnets. They're not adding any subscribers to my list, or they're not working as I, want them to work. I have so many resources on this topic that I will link in the description of this episode, including, how to create an amazing lead magnet. But I want to make sure that you understand a couple things with lead magnets as you audit, as you think like what kind of lead magnet you can create. Number one, you need to know your people. If you know your audience, then you're way, way more likely to create a lead magnet that you absolutely love. And that comes from just listening in your content. And this is where you can use social media, you can use your blog, you can use a podcast, YouTube, whatever channel you're currently posting content to. Maybe you're not posting content to anything, which in that case, go check out our content series. But essentially, this is where you can have conversations with people, right? And see what do they resonate with. Like pay attention to your comments, your shares, your DMs, what blogs are doing super well on your website, what podcast episodes did well, what YouTube videos did well. That gives you clues as to like what people actually want to learn from you. And you can also ask them, you can poll them, you can interview them. So doing a little bit of detective work can really go a long way for creating a lead magnet that everyone loves. And the other tip I have for you is make it short. In this day and age, we're living in the TikTok era, right? Like people's attention spans are like this big. They're this big. And we're really pressed on time. Everyone's like, go, go, go. Give me the information right now. Like, I always talk to you guys about this. If you've been to Condo to Customers or you're in the business lounge, we talk about, answers, not information. Like people are just overwhelmed in information. What they really want is answers. And so thinking about simplifying your lead magnet and going with something that's a checklist, a template, an audio, something that is a quick win for your clients and customers or your prospects, I should say, instead of something that is a huge time commitment like, hey, watch my 90-minute webinar or listen to this 3-hour podcast. Someone who's new to your world, they kind of just want like cliff notes. They want to try out your brand. And that's where a very simple lead magnet can make a huge difference. So, as you're auditing your lead magnets, as you're thinking about what is it that you could create to start growing your list and capturing more leads so that you can send emails and make more sales, I really want you to keep those things in mind. How can you make it super short, a quick win? And more importantly, how can you create a lead magnet that people actually want? And it might take a couple tries, by the way. If the first time or the second or the third you don't succeed, don't worry. Like, keep trying something else out. I think it took me like 4 or 5 lead magnets before one of them really hit and it started really growing my email list. Until this day, it's our content calendar template. It's gone viral on Pinterest many times. So it's like, it's the thing that everyone wants for some reason for my brand. And I only figured that out because I was paying attention to my numbers and looking at my blogs. And I realized, oh my goodness, this blog about creating a content calendar has so many hits. I wonder if I could just create a lead magnet around that. And bada bing, bada boom, it's still our most popular lead magnet that we have on our website. So final tip when it comes to growing your email list, make sure that you have a content strategy that builds traffic. Look, this is something that I think so many people miss out on, and I'm not totally sure why. Like, maybe it's because it's not shiny or it's not new, that it's not popular, but 90% of the clients we coach and the people that we mentor through our programs make this mistake. And that's assuming that traffic is just going to appear out of the clear blue sky on your website and people are just going to find you. And the reality is we rely so heavily sometimes on social media and maybe even ads that we don't actually understand the power of creating, this amazing content strategy that pulls more of, or not pulls, but pulls. It pulls people into your world. It helps them to find you instead of you having to go to them all the time. I love that you're hustling on social media. And I was social media manager, okay? Like, that was my whole world for a long time. But over time, I realized that if I could create content one time and have it get better and better and better as time went on, rather than just creating content, and it lived for maybe 24 hours on the feed if I got lucky, and then I had to create another piece of content and another piece of content. It was like running on a content hamster wheel, right? So I fell in love with long form content because it's evergreen, and more importantly, long form content that I can make search engine optimization friendly, so SEO friendly, so that people, when they're typing in questions about marketing, can find me. Having that kind of content strategy in the mix and thinking more strategically this year, where you might be able to pull off a little bit of your time that you're spending maybe answering DMs or posting stories and invest that energy into creating one long form content piece that you can optimize for search, or someone on your team or a VA or someone that you use on a per project basis can help you optimize, that lives way longer and produces leads and sales for years to come. That's going to be a much smarter investment in your business than if you just create a short piece of content that lives and does well and gets a lot of engagement. Nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. But if that's all you do, you're always going to be stuck having to create more and more and more. You know what I'm saying? So many ideas packed into one episode. I know I'm getting down the rabbit hole, but it's because I want to help you. It's because I want to make sure that you understand these concepts, that you're arming yourself and empowering yourself to grow your cash flow, grow your leads, grow your revenue, and do it in a way that doesn't require more hustle, right? You can do it out of a place of more rest and less constantly having to chase after clients or leads, or having these crazy ebbs and flows in your business where it's feast or famine. You have a ton of business or you have no business. All of this is fixed when you have a strategic content strategy that brings traffic into your world, and then you're capturing that traffic and turning it into leads through great lead magnets and your email list. Okay, we have talked about a lot. I hope that your eyes have not glazed over. I hope that you don't feel like, oh my goodness, I already know these things. because you might know them, but you're not implementing them. I want you to win. I want you to make money. I want you to succeed. I want you to have this year be your best year yet. And that only happens if we can get real about what's working and what's not working. If we can get real about how we're going to fix our business this new year and do it in a way that's strategic, empowering, fun, and requires less of us. Because all of us deserve to have businesses that we absolutely love and don't require all of our time and energy to run. Just saying. I don't know. It's just me. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, enough about that. I hope that you found today's episode helpful. If you did, make sure that you check out the description below. There's an entire blog post associated with this episode, as well as some really awesome freebies that we've collected over on the blog that I'm not even going to tell you about because you're going to have to go read the blog. Some really cool resources, our best guides, some checklists, things that can help you really get ready to grow your list and build an amazing content strategy in the new year. I love you. I hope that you are just totally determined to make this year your best year yet, because I sure am. Make sure to tune in for part 2. We're going to talk about how to actually start growing your email list from scratch, 5 of my best tips. I'm also going to be sharing what my cash flow marketing strategy is going to be for this year. We're changing a lot of things in the business. It's going to be fun. And of course, if you have questions, post them in the comments below. I would love for you guys to just continue referring people to the podcast, because that's how we actually grow the show. So I love you. I mean it. Un beso, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.